Welcome back. Hunter Biden will be on Capitol Hill today, testifying under oath before the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees. Today's testimony marks a crucial point in the Republicans' impeachment investigation. Hunter was originally subpoenaed to testify this past December, but the first son defied that subpoena, remember, and instead he showed up to the Senate building, took a microphone, attacked the Republicans' investigation.
My father was not financially involved in my business, and in the depths of my addiction, I was extremely irresponsible with my finances. But to suggest that as grounds for an impeachment inquiry is beyond the absurd. It's shameless.
And we will likely hear more of that today. Joining me right now is Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, a member of the House Oversight, Foreign Affairs, and Transportation Committees. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. What are you planning on asking Hunter Biden today?
I'd just like to know if he ever paid any taxes on that $20 million. And I would like to know what his qualifications were, what influence the Chinese had with these investments, and what was he selling? What was his product? He has no product. You know, they always bring up the Trump family, but they have a product. They've sold things, real estate, clothing, everything, you know, just name it. And yet they bring that up. But the reality is Hunter had nothing but influence. And that's all that it is. And I suspect by the time they get to me, Maria, most as the 435th most powerful member of Congress, I suspect most of the questions he asked.
Well,
and as you know, in your excellent interview with Chairman Comer and Jim Jordan, that I'm sure the Democrats are going to throw up this one witness who's obviously they're trying to discredit him. The FBI has said that he was not he lied to them, but in fact, he was their number one witness for 10 years, number one informant, paid informant. So I suspect there'll be a lot of deflection because that's what you've seen from Hunter Biden. As you noted, he called his so-called press conference where he didn't take any questions from the media, and they handled him with kid gloves and on the Senate side, so he couldn't be brought in by our sergeant at arms. And then he makes a mockery of the committee by showing up unannounced, right. Except, of course, the so-called big three in the national media. They all knew he was going to be there. And it was basically, we understood he's filming some sort of documentary or something.
Right.
So,
well, Chairman Comer joined me yesterday on this program, and here's what he said about the president and his family. Watch.
They had successfully used this informant to prosecute criminals in the past, and he had been with the Bureau over a decade. They've indicted him, and more's coming out about the informant, what role he played for the FBI. The FBI paid him to be a spy in Russia. They indicted him because he was communicating with Russia, but that's what they paid him for over 10 years to do. So I don't know anything about Smirnov, but the circumstances around his indictment and his rearrest and the changing of the original indictment by Weiss is very concerning, because everything that I've had to do with the FBI has been very suspicious throughout this investigation. The trust level that I have with the FBI is zero.
Wow, and that is a significant statement, zero trust in the FBI. But you and your colleagues are going to have to prove that Joe Biden had knowledge of and participated in this influence peddling and potential money laundering scheme that the committees say has gone on for a decade. Can you do it? Can you prove it?
Well, I think we already have, Maria. I mean, you have the notes from the informants. You have the banking records. You show his own brother says that he was beside him at a very important meeting on the phone with these folks. And so it just on. I don't know how much more we need to prove other than the fact that the Justice Department does not want to investigate it. That's what I think the American publics are going to show. And of course, when it goes to the Senate, Schumer won't do anything, sit on his hands like he has in the past. But I think I think the election's coming up, Maria. I think people are tired of this corruption.
Yeah.
And that 20 million so-called conservatives that stayed home last election cycle with the border and everything else and inflation, and this just absentee president, to me, I think it's going to pay dividends for the Republicans.
Yeah, I want to get back to what you said about Ukraine and Schumer in a moment. But first, here's Doug Collins with us this morning. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, good morning, Tim. It's good to see you. One of the things that's been tied together, and especially with this with Hunter and Ukraine and everything else, is something that's pending in Congress that's not getting the attention, and I think they want it that way, and that's the FISA reauthorization. Maria and I have talked about this for years, and when you deal with FBI, what Comer said yesterday about not trusting, then you get the intelligence community in there. We've got to have some reform there. What's the latest on top of all this Hunter Biden stuff? What is the latest there that I don't want this to be brought in? And I know you've been working on this as well. How can we make sure people understand that FISA is something that has to be reformed? It's not just something that can be pushed on the pushed through again.
Well,
Yeah, I don't. You're going in and out, Tim. Tim Burchett, you're going in and out. It seems like. But I want to get your take on. You want to try that again, Congressman?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I was just going to say that with these FISA investigations, of course, all they do is use this as a backdoor to investigate Americans, and the FBI is at the head of that. And if we don't reform it, if we just pass it as it exists today, the abuse will continue. And until we get those reforms in place, we don't need to reauthorize that.
All right, so let's talk about the business at hand, because President Biden met with top congressional leaders at the White House yesterday discussing Ukraine aid, 2 upcoming potential government shutdowns, the first deadline happening this Friday. Speaker Johnson said that he's optimistic about funding the government, but Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the conversation turned intense when they talked about Ukraine. He says he wants money to go to Ukraine now. Watch this.
The overwhelming sentiment in that meeting is we got to do Ukraine now. And there are other issues, including border, which we should address, but not now. We said to the Speaker, get it done.
The first priority of the country is our border and making sure it's secure. It's time for action. It is a catastrophe, and it must stop.
So where is this going? Schumer said the money has to go to Ukraine now. The border can come later. No mention whatsoever of the murder of the nursing student, Laken Riley, because of an illegal who entered the country in September of 2022 through El Paso.
No, of course there wouldn't be, Maria. Their concern is never with the American border, with our constitutional duty. It's always overseas. And if you notice, there's a report released that there was over 50 abuses of the money that we've sent over there. There is very little, if any, notation or following of this money, even though there was something in the legislation which is bogus in the past, $140 million. And we know that the small arms and the night vision goggles, which are a hot commodity on the black market, it's basically unchecked where all that went.
Yeah.
And it's on millions of dollars that have been stolen and pilfered from the money we sent to Ukraine. And for some reason, the Democrats do not care about our southern border. And the reason they don't care about our southern border, the truth is that all these folks are going to come in here. They won't be able to do it in Tennessee. But dadgummit, a lot of them are going to be able to do mail-in ballots because there is no verification there. Yeah. You do not show an ID. And that is what's the bottom. It's about power, and it's evil corruption right now, what I think is going on in the White House.
Well, I mean, Congressman, you've been talking about securing the border now for a long time. Laken Riley is just one story. There are others. Bill Maloogian tweeted about another death at the hand of an illegal. Why can't you all secure the border?
Because not enough congressmen have the guts to do what needs to be done, Maria. Bottom line.
Congressman,
we have got to.
Yeah.
And we sent R2 over to the Senate, as you know, which we feel like would have gone a long way towards securing the border.
Yep.
No one's even talking about that. The White House won't even bring it up. Schumer won't bring it up, and yet he's allowed to say that the Republicans are blocking the border because of that bogus policy or that plan passed that allowed 5,000 people over the border before shut it down.
Congressman, thank you. We'll be watching your work. Tim Burchett joining us this morning.